I want to show you how to link two controls together now. This is kind of cool that you can do this. There's a step that may throw you, and so I want to show you this. It's possible to bind controls together on a page. Now, you're not going to do this a whole lot, but there are situations where this is just absolutely fantastic to do on a web page. And that is, we can populate certain controls based on what has been input in other controls. You can use this as a validation for somebody to verify what they've chosen. You can use it to help hold the user's hand and control their path through your page. So let's just go take a look at an example of this. And I'm going to go into Visual Studio. And I'm going to go into my ML page load example. And you're going to notice that I have dropped on here a drop-down list. And let's go look at this quickly on the browser. You'll notice as this thing renders up that I can choose a number of colors. Well, when I choose a color, that becomes my selection, right? No big deal. Well, I want to populate a label based on my choices there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is drag a label, a web form. Notice it's a web form. I'm going to drag a label on here. And this is going to be, you'll notice in Properties, Label 3. So now I want to make sure that whenever I choose something from the drop-down list that it shows up here as the label. So what I'm going to do here is go to my HTML code. This is one of the easiest places to do this. And notice in my label, here's my label 3, right? So this is my control. I'm simply going to add in here, I'm going to set the text equal to, and watch the syntax here. We're going to set it equal to a tag. But this pound sign is a binding symbol, and we're going to bind, and that is drop down list 1. And where did I get that? Here's my drop down list, and here's the ID of it, drop down list 1. So it's drop down list 1, and it's the selected item, and I want the text of the selected item. And then I'm going to close that, and notice this is more or less inline ASP in my tag here. So drop down list 1, selected item text, and then I'm going to go over here to the end and change the way my label is closed out. I'm going to take the old text and the closing tag, and I'm going to create a single closing tag right here. Now, if I run this, it won't work because there's another aspect that needs to be dealt with, and this is back here in the back of my web form. And this is in my page load. There's a method called data binding that I need to do in ASP.NET to allow these things to be bound to each other. So in my page load on this page, I'm simply going to type label 3, that's the name of my label, and then call data bind. And this says that when this page loads, label 3 is bound to something. Go ahead and take care of the data binding. Set that up. Now, when I run this, notice what's going to happen now. When I choose something, notice I chose it, but it didn't go. Why? Well, let's think back a second. What is our event procedure set to do? Remember, the only thing that posts back to the server is a button click, right? When I made a change in my drop-down, it didn't do a post back, and so I didn't see it. But it did cache it. Remember, it's going to put all these in a list, and the next time I do a button click, it's going to get it. So I changed it to black, and if I click on the button here, it posts back and it changes. And if I change it to red, it won't change until I do a button post back. Okay, now notice if I change it to orange, and then change it to blue and post back, the last thing's going. That's not acceptable for me. I want this thing to post back and set this label immediately. So let's leave the web page just a second, and let's go back and remember our auto post back function. Let's go back to our page, go back into HTML, and on our drop down list right here, we're now going to set the auto post back value. So here's the secret to these. Choose one of these attributes, back out of space, just put a new space in, and notice auto post back. So I'll double click that, equals, and I will choose true. Whoop, need to put my space in. And notice auto post back is equal to true. And I'm going to go in and put these double quotes around it. That's just good style. Now, when I run this, we've now told the drop-down list that whenever we change something, you go ahead and post back. So when I change to black, notice it's changing now. There's an auto post back happening. Okay? That's the way to bind controls, and we can make our page totally dependent on itself in all kinds of places and control how often this gets posted back. So that's linking.